So look at just to get it out of the way. Yes, I was wrong. Yes, yes. The Brandon Royval prediction. But okay, but again, can't fight. That's kind of a thing with him. I'm noticing. So who's the next best option? Joshua Van has a little juice right now, coming off a good win. Of course, if you're Joshua Van, you're gonna take the fight.
Mm-hmm.
They're pumping. Come on, dog, you got this.
Mm-hmm.
You got this, bro. Like you want a heater right now, bro. It's a setup.
The
It's
UFC knows what they're doing.
Hey, it's a set up. I went 7-4 on the whole fight card. So I even said, my hats off to Joshua Van if he could get the win, and he got the win. He beat Brandon Royval at his own game. Honestly, I'm a little bit more disappointed too in Royval. But I will say, and we got to read the comments too. We gotta. I don't know when we'll have time, but I want to go through the comments because I was, I was getting roasted. It was a close fight, and Brandon Royval, evidently Joshua Van showed that he could stand on the feet with him, and and he could beat him at his own game. I wish Brandon Royval showed him other layers to it, and I think even Brandon Royval came out and said, I got stuck in the moment of like boxing, trying to prove a point, and he lost the point. Not a point in point, just the point he was trying to convey as a fighter.
Yeah,
And
the overall kind of like aspect of going for the win, I guess you
now,
could say.
and it's almost like, hey, I can stand toe to toe with you. I'm gonna prove to you that I could do it, that I'm better at this than you. And he went to Joshua Van was able to go toe to toe with him. Now, I will say this: it's a setup if he fights Alexandre Pantoja.
So that
It's a
one's gonna be a setup.
oh, that's a setup.
Ah. Hey, that's gonna be another free fucking whatever. How many K views we get on Fight Night when that one goes down?
Oh, they're gonna. Nah, that's a setup though, bro. You don't know. You don't want that Pantoja
You don't
smoke, bro.
want that Pantoja. Well, that's what's
Pantoja,
happening.
Pantoja's smarter than that though, bro.
Mm-hmm. Royval's fight IQ definitely it lost him the fight. Let's put it like that. And he even kind of came out with the quote saying like, "I'm like that. I'm like a. I don't know if you ever heard of it before. I didn't before he posted it, but he's like, I'm like a scorpion. I guess scorpions have a tendency to like, sting frogs, even though frogs have a certain venom that kills them or something.
Right.
So he basically says that like I act against my best interest to put on a show
Yeah.
or even to try to like, get a win if I think I'm down, I'll even like get myself, how some guys if they're losing a fight, right? They're going to try to win, but they're not going to get knocked out. Royval, if he's losing a fight, I feel like what he said there too is like I'll put it all on the line like every time I need to. And it comes with its see the thing about Royval is it's given him the success to get to where he is today. It's really helped him out throughout most of his career.
That's
But
why
at,
he's a fan favorite.
but at times it fails him badly,
Right.
And this was one of those times where if he would have been more disciplined just a little bit more throughout each of those rounds, he could have actually won the rounds. But he was giving them away, you know what I mean? And I think he recognizes that in hindsight. So,
And credit to Joshua Van, he stood in there and he beat Brandon Royval at his own game of like putting out how many punches he put out. Like he
well,
matched.
staying patient, right, and picking his shots versus Royval's complete
He looked
opposite approach.
he looked cleaner. He did
He
look
took the cleaner approach for sure.
really did. He looked cleaner in his punching and boxing ability, and he looked a little bit more powerful too.
Oh, definitely. And
Now,
also, I noticed with the front kick, he kind of was finding things in the fight, and then he would use it. Whatever was working at a high success rate, he was using it. So that's
yeah,
something Royval needs to kind of start doing too. Is like instead of spamming, find what works and then spam that. But Royval again, he throws so much fucking volume. I think he broke a record on
that's what I
Saturday.
meant too. Volume. He
Hmm.
found someone because that's what I thought too. I didn't think Joshua Van would have the amount of volume that Brandon Royval did,
I
and
didn't
he
think so either.
and he did. So he showed us there is another gear he has. So that's why my hats off to him. Like what you said too, that front kick to the knee, that
Hmm.
was real crucial in that third round. It
Right.
almost turned the tide.
It won him the fight, I would say,
It really
almost.
did.
Yeah.
And then that knockdown. You could even at the end, Brandon Royval, he
Hmm.
knew he knew he fucked up.
And then he started crashing out a little bit, and then he ended the fight even worse after that.
Yeah.
So I think I saw Royval saying that he tried to fight Van at his own style, and so
Right.
that's what he does. And I guess like I said, it's gotten you to this point. But if you have dreams of kind of like elevating your career past this point, you got to make a couple adjustments. You're right there. It's more so your approach if you're Royval, and maybe like a couple adjustments you can make in training to be cleaner in the
Here,
fight.
here's a crazy thing, bro. Joshua Van went from like not even ranked to the number one contender in 12 months. I don't know if I've ever seen a faster rise in the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
Number one contender.
Yeah.
I don't know if he wants to see Alexander on the ground, bro, because Alexander is not just gonna fight him standing up.
Mm-hmm. What I'm thinking, I'm almost kind of like drawing, how JDM versus Bilal was a fight where I was counting out JDM. I was open about it. I was saying, like, I don't think JDM's got this. Kind of like what you're saying right now about Van. He doesn't have the grappling to hang. JDM shocked me, and I feel like I just feel like Van might have something like that going into this fight, where like he gets in the octagon and Pantoja isn't gonna look like himself with the style Van presents him. That's just kind of like a gut feeling I have. So we'll see.
My gut feeling it's a setup.
We're gonna find out. Make sure to call it a setup on fight week,
Oh,
so
I
that we
will.
can get the fucking views.
I will.
They love that. That was so good, and the fact that I clipped it off too like that, like this is a setup. Oh my
Yeah.
god, the thumbnail went crazy.
That was perfect timing on there, and I'll take the heat. I don't mind it.
Yeah, it's all good, right?
Yeah, but I'll still say it, like I've never seen a faster rise. That's my hats off to him.
I think 12 to number one contender. Yeah, 10 to number one contender.
And imagine how Charles Energy Johnson feels right now. He knocked him out.
I see him kind of. I'm not even using this as a disrespectful word, but I guess what fans are saying is he's coping online. Making all these tweets, kind of addressing like his I guess you call it also mental gymnastics. Like I beat Van, but I lost my next fight, but my stock is still high. And
It's I mean, bro, it has to be a hard pill to swallow.
It's definitely a hard pill to swallow
Because
because nobody's talking about him.
But that's the thing. Look how like not only was it luck but hard work on Joshua Van, and Joshua Van to swallow that loss and keep moving forward like he never got knocked out.
Mm-hmm.
You would have never, if a fighter just watched that fight and did not know how Joshua Van got to that position, they would have been like, he got knocked out? No way.
Mm-hmm.
Impossible. Like the rise he took, that is part luck.
There is some luck to it, right? And
And
I
he
think
took
some
full
of it
advantage
is,
of it.
and some of it is his youngness. He's so young. He's so like almost
He doesn't know
ignorant.
what he doesn't know.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
doesn't know
He's
what he
ignorant a
doesn't
little
know.
bit to some of the stuff going on, and it helps him, I think.
So here's my thing. I hate to say it, but it's kind of like what happened with Steve Ursay. I think it's too fast, bro. I think he still needs another fight to like say this is where I love that he's getting a shot. I don't want to stop any man from getting a shot, but it's a setup.
Okay, all right. So MTK is gonna go back to the fucking the
I am
well
doubly
on
down.
this one.
I'm doubly down.
Yeah, MTK is going back to the well on this one.
I'm feeling that motherfucker.
All right, fair enough. Fair
I couldn't
enough.
wait to do it with this one with you, bro.
Yeah.
Because oh man, they're
You've
gonna
been
roast
thinking
me.
that, huh? You've been thinking that.
Oh, bro, like, but I mean the way. Okay, here's the other thing. If Joshua Van would have knocked Royval out, I would have been like, all right,
Mm-hmm.
that bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Alexandre Pantoja got the finish though. He not only did he do his job, he did it in a dominating fashion.
Yeah.
Like he left it no room for Kai France even to give him a shot to fucking try to knock his ass out. Because a lot of people thought Kai France could have knocked Pantoja out.
Mm-hmm.
If I think anybody would have said if Pantoja would have lost, he would have been KO'd by Kai France.
That was Kaikara's only route to victory. But even I said one of the things I was saying was because I rewatched their Ultimate Fighter fight,
Okay.
and I saw that basically what happened there is Pantoja couldn't take down Kaikara in that fight, so Kaikara is the striker, right? So they went 2 rounds on the feet, and Alexandra won both rounds on the feet. So I don't know if you know this about the Ultimate Fighter, but basically, if you go 1-1 in the first 2 rounds, meaning both fighters win 1 round, it has to go to a third. But if one fighter wins both of the first 2 rounds, then it's over. And so Pantoja won the first 2 rounds on the feet. So that's why I was like, bro. And a lot of people are saying, oh, that fight's going to be close. That was a close fight on the Ultimate Fighter. And the only reason why is because Kai Kara stuffed the takedowns. But I watched that fight and I saw Kai Kara lose on the feet already. And I was like, dude, he's got no shot. He already lost on the feet to Pantoja.
Yeah.
You know?
And Pantoja is better.
He's better overall. I mean, he's a dog.
And this is what I was going to bring up to you, too. Do you saw how Pantoja, when they brought him in the ring, he tapped on his shoulders like, nah, dude, do the face-to-face.
That's the part I'm talking about with Joshua Van, where he's naive a little bit. He's like ignorant. He doesn't know what's going on fully.
He's not he's in Pantoja, he's already a professional at it.
Exactly.
What his place, bro. And I wish you could play this, if you clip this, how he stood there and he looked at him. And who looked away first?
Van did look away first.
He did look away first. And I'm not saying, I think the moment was bigger than, that's a lot to put on a kid first time. Like, you not only did you win a fight, now you're going to go face the fucking champion after his fight. Like, he was a little starstruck, I think.
Yeah, I don't think he was starstruck, honestly. I think he just kind of, again, I just think he doesn't know what's going on half the time right now.
Well, no, that's
so
a lot
to take in there.
But that's a lot to take in on one night.
It's a lot to take in, but not if you don't know the magnitude of the situation you're stepping into.
Yeah.
I don't think Van at 23 years old is able to compute the magnitude of everything going on yet.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was kind of like, okay.
He comes in, he's kind of saying what up to people. Like, he just doesn't fully, like, but I think this will, a lot of times people break to the pressure. You saw Kai Kara France crying, that clip of Kai Kara France crying, talking about, I was embarrassed about my heritage. In my opinion, when I watched that, I'm thinking it's also because of the, he's feeling the pressures of the fight, you know? And so a guy like Van, I think his ignorance will give him the ability to walk into a fight week almost like light. Like, it's just like, hey guys, what up? What's going on? He doesn't understand yet. So we'll see. And maybe as time goes on, depending on how the promotion goes, maybe he will start to wake up and start to realize, like, oh shit, and then start to kind of like react to some of the magnitude. But I'd like to see a little bit more before I make a judgment on Van. But I think he's like a fucking young buck. Like, he doesn't know shit. That's what it seems like to me.
I would say this, the future is bright for him.
The future is bright for sure.
Yeah, because he even if he lost to Pantoja, he still has, it's 23, 24. I mean, you got the rest of the future ahead of you.
Yeah, and one thing about the flyweight division that I kind of think is, how do I put this? Because you're saying, like, it's a setup, and I don't think it's fully a setup. I think he's probably earned his shot, but I will say there's not as much parity at flyweight, right? That's why you get these things where, like, Kaya Sakura, what's his name? Steve Erceg, and now you got Van, right? These are all, like, 3 guys who are basically getting title shots who go from, like, unranked to title shot within, like, 6 months, not even, like, a calendar year.
Because they don't have a lot of options.
There's not a lot of parity up there. There's only, like, a couple guys, and the top 5 have already lost to Pantoja. So it's one of those weird ones where, yeah, you are getting some guys there earlier than maybe some other divisions would put them there.
See, if I was like Manel Cape, I would have been at that fucking fight.
Yeah. But he just pulled out of a fight, didn't he? He just pulled out of something.
He was supposed to fight Brandon Royval.
Okay, so Royval pulled out first, and then they rebooked it, and then fucking what's his name pulled out next. Yeah, so okay.
See, like, that fight would be interesting to me. If Joshua Van beat Cape, I would have been like, yeah, give him fucking Pantoja. Like, I don't know. I just feel like he needs one more fight. But, you know, I'm already eating sand on this one, so.
Okay. All right, fair enough. I guess, and that's fine that you say one more fight. I guess, and I wouldn't even disagree with you fully. And I already kind of said it, but I'll just say again. I think that happens because there's not enough going on at flyweight. It's one of those where, like, it's kind of like the women's divisions where everybody is 2, max 3 wins away from a title shot. I mean, wasn't Kai Kara like 1-1 in his last 2?
Yeah.
Coming off of just 1 win. Yeah, so even a guy like Charles Johnson, I know he might be kind of like confused at the moment, but if anything, I would just say for Charles, You got to just keep it plain and simple, Charles. You're 2 wins away, max 3 from a title shot, and that's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
reality of flyweight.
yeah.
Once you
And,
get into the rankings, you're pretty much right there.
and two, like, because I know I've interviewed Charles at one time, and had a conversation with him. That loss was everything.
Mm-hmm.
If he gets that win, he's almost in a position where he was ahead of Joshua Van.
Mm-hmm.
But but
But you got to get name brands, right? So Charles
yeah,
is gonna fight this no-name Russian guy right now who's extremely good, from what I hear. But again, you're not gonna get the credit,
yeah,
like Van will get for beating a Royval. And to be honest, it seems like this is all just a hypothetical. But to be honest, the guy that Charles is fighting could possibly be a good matchup for Royval. You feel me? He could possibly beat Royval, but he's not gonna get the credit as if Van gets for beating a Royval, which is understood. So you got to get those name brands.
yeah. No, I'm just looking too. I was trying to remember who Joshua Van fought before Brandon Royval.
Why are you holding it up like that?
So it doesn't look like I'm looking down.
Oh,
Oh, he beat Silva.
okay.
So Silva before Silva, it was like, oh, who did he really fight?
Exactly.
So Silva really put him in a position to get him to, because Silva was 12 or something ranked.
Right.
He took his ranking.